Morning, everybody. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Glad you got out on this little cool day. But it'll be spring here soon, I'm hoping. So we got a lot to do, so let's get down to business. And I'm gonna go to item number 2, which is the invocation and pledge of allegiance. Councilman Allred will offer us our invocation, and then we will stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Let's go to Father. Heavenly Father, we pray your blessing on this meeting and all who participate. Help us, Father, to carefully consider each new idea, cautiously weighing the impacts of our decisions against the benefits they may offer. Help us to ensure that our deliberations focus on the greater good without concern for personal agendas. Help us to conduct ourselves in a manner that will be pleasing to you, Father, and bring respect to our city. Father, we thank you for your involvement in our lives and in the life of our community, for without you, we are helpless. In your matched and powerful name of Jesus Christ, our Redeemer. Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Tony, for that invocation. Our next item on our agenda is to approve the minutes from January the 14th, which was our organizational and regular council meeting. I know you all got that in your packet. I need a motion to approve these minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Bill.
Second.
Thank you. Diane, do we need a discussion? Okay, all in favor of approval of these minutes signify with aye.
Aye.
All right, the minutes are approved as presented. Okay, for the adoption of our agenda, I'm going to have to just slightly amend the meeting agenda. We will not need to go into executive session, so we will delete item 12. Do I have a motion to amend and approve this meeting's agenda?
So moved.
Okay, all right, first, and second, okay, all right, discussion. All in favor of adopting this agenda? Signify with aye. Okay, agenda is adopted. Mayoral and council remarks. Council, do you have any remarks that you would like to make this morning?
Not aye.
Y'all are silent?
Happy camper.
Happy camper. I want to thank Jason for setting up our planning workshop. As we know, no actions were taken, but we had good discussions and I thought it went very well. And I thank you, Jason, for doing that. Okay, city managers report. Take it, Jason.
Madam Mayor, Council, those in attendance and somebody on Zoom, good morning. To echo the mayor, I want to thank the staff and the mayor and council for our travels down to Gainesville last week. Although they're not here, I want to thank Georgia Mountain Regional Commission for their accommodations of the meeting space. They had the room set up wonderfully for the public to participate if they wanted to come and view. As the mayor said, no action was taken, but it was a productive meeting and remind us that we are a thriving community with lots of potential. I recently attended the Georgia City County Manager Association Conference in Athens. This was a very enlightening 3 days. This is my second year going. Lots of relevant sessions and roundtable discussions on matters that we as managers see and experience on a daily basis. This was actually my second year attending, and it was good to see colleagues as well as meet new ones. I'd like to say that everyone that I came across either was very knowledgeable of Sky Valley or complimentary, or they wanted to know more. Of course, I'm glad to say that those that did not, they left knowing, because I was certainly glad to be a cheerleader of this great city. Want to thank the public works staff. A couple of Sundays ago, they had an 8-inch water line break on Bald Mountain, and those guys came in about 8 o'clock. Actually, some came in before then, but they all worked till about 5 Monday morning. And then on top of that, they worked there after an hour or two break. They came and did their regular 8-hour shift. So as always, we have a very dedicated staff. I know I left about 9:30 that Sunday night, and they were just getting after it. The city is in process of changing out and adding speed limit signs in and around the city. A lot of that's been done. For the most part, the speed limit is 25 miles per hour in the bulk of the city. But I just want to touch on, I know Chief Wallace is here, but Evergreen Road, the encouragement would probably stay around 15 miles per hour for those who might be in attendance or watch this later. We've had some accidents down that way. We're finding that that road is getting used more and more. It's almost really become an alternative entrance into and out of the city. We're looking to widen that road. We've had some wrecks as of recent. I think a lot of it has to do with speed, so just tell people, please be careful. I know we're gonna touch on roads here later on in the meeting, but I'm pleased to say that we have received an additional 20,000 in supplemental grant funding for roads. That's on top of the normal LMIG money that we receive every year. We're always thankful for the generosity that Georgia Department of Transportation has given to us. We probably have received as much or more in supplemental money than we have in regular money over the past 3 or 4 years. I want to touch on finances, taxes, etc. I sent you all a report, but we've collected approximately 93% of the property taxes due. We're probably actually ahead of the game, even though we're over a month past due on these. We are pursuing collection actions. Fees and penalties are accruing. We've taken not quite 960,000, over a little over $1 million. And so we're continuing to, that money's still trickling in. On expenditures for this time of the year, we should be around 23%. We're tracking on that as far as pretty much all of our departments, from the general fund to roads and trash. So in spite of continuous ever-rising expenditures, we continue to watch our dollars. So I'm pleased to say that we're on track. And on the revenue side, we've taken a little over 70% on the general fund, so we're a little above average on that. I want to talk a little about short-term rental license. That ordinance has been in effect now for well over a year. We've had several renewed. If you do have a short-term rental license, if you have not renewed it, you need to do so. We're going to be sending out, we send out tickets here for long. Or if you're using it, you do need to get licensed. So just want to touch on that. And that concludes my report, Madam Mayor.
Any comments or questions from the council or Jason? Any comments or questions from the meeting participants this morning? Are we awake? Yes, we are. I think
We have coffee. We do have coffee, buddy.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you,
Yes,
Jason.
ma'am.
And I totally agree with our public works guys working all night long.
They're actually busy right now, so they won't be here for their departmental report, but they apologize if they have some pressing matters.
Do they get a bonus when they do that, or is it just overtime, or how does that?
It's overtime.
They do get their overtime. A lot of times, Ms. Greenfellow, we do reward them, or I hate to use the word reward, but we honor them with lunch. The city will buy lunch for them.
Or dinner.
Or dinner, it just depends. It's just it doesn't cost the city a whole lot of money, but it goes a long way towards morale. And we've got a very good group of guys, and in this world of frequent turnover, I think that helps. Not only does the city try to be as competitive as possible with pay, but it's those little things that we feel like kind of helps with longevity. But we do show appreciation to them as well as the police and others whenever possible.
They sure, they deserve it. Big time.
Gail, would you give your name and your address?
But guess
Since you
what?
said-
I baked cookies for them one night.
I
They were
heard
up all
that.
night.
I heard they liked it.
I was up too, because the water was shooting everywhere.
Yeah,
They work for food.
yeah.
They do, you're absolutely right.
That's just Gail Greenfelder at, you have to give us your address.
Oh, 19 Mary Lane.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, All right, well, Jason, let's go ahead with the department reports, however you want to do.
Well,
People
let
here
Jim
first or whatever.
Tyler, AKA Plywood.
Mr. Plywood.
You understand that's never going away.
Someone wrote an email about Jim and since he's our building construction.
Plywood.
They just call him Mr. Plywood, so we're going with it.
As a result of a medical emergency in January, the fire chief made a call on a house, short-term rental. And it was overflowing with people. I think he said like 16 people. They were advertising, I believe it was 6 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, RV parking. Once we did some research on what was going on. Anyway, he told me about it. I went back out and took a look at it with him after the people had vacated. Got in touch with the owners. They were very responsive. They didn't realize a lot of the things that were going on. I called the health department and they confirmed that when it was built, it was only zoned for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So they were way over in that respect as well. Subsequently, the owners have taken it out of the rental market. I understand that we're now going to be leasing it to somebody for 1 year minimum. And they put in some additional egress for the one of the bedrooms. I mean, they had a room that had no windows, no access to the outside whatsoever, and it had 2 bunk beds and a queen bed in it. So there were sleeping 4 people in a room about the size of our kitchen here. So anyway, that's been taken care of. You know, we're looking at some other ones, but again, that is no longer a problem. One warning was issued in the month of January for multiple code violations, which I'm going to be talking to our attorney here after the meeting, for an unsafe structure on Saddleback Circle. And I mean, this goes way above and beyond unsafe. It's got some serious issues. I mean, we may have to resort to some extreme situations. As far as an update on the burn house that I've been talking about for the last few months over on Rebel Circle, finally, and I put in all caps of my notes here, a certificate of completion was issued on January 31st. It is good to go. The family that bought it, this is the 3rd or 4th ownership since the fire. It's a small family out of Atlanta. They're not going to live in it full time, but they are going to be using it exclusively just for themselves. And they did a really good job bringing this thing back to life. A certificate of completion was issued in February for the new maintenance building for the country club over at 186 Driver Lane. And 2 certificates of occupancy were issued during this reporting period, one for 110 Cedar Lane. And that was built by Brownhaven Homes in a record 4 months, as opposed to one we've got at on Schaumburg, which is still under construction, and that's been going on for about 18 months, but they're wrapping that up. Excuse me, they did wrap that up. And they, both of those have their COs. I had to initially give them conditional COs because the city ordinance requires that either concrete or asphalt go from the road to the property line. And due to the weather this past winter, they weren't able to do it until about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And they got that done with one concrete, one asphalt. And construction continues on 2 new homes that are under construction, one at 2016 Ridgepole and another one at 71 Evergreen. And both, well, the one on Evergreen is really in its final stages. The one on Ridgepole still has some things to do. Knob Drive, I'm pleased to report that the construction has resumed on that. There was a lapse, and I reached out to the owner a couple of weeks ago. And as a matter of fact, yesterday they were pouring some additional concrete. And so, I'm happy that has resumed. One home construction permit was issued in January for a property over on West Sugar Bush. And in fact, he just talked to me this morning, and they're in the framing stage now. And it's the owner builder is doing it himself, and it's moving along very quickly. We have 4 potential new homes, permits that are still pending, and some of them longer than others. One on Saddleback Circle, one on Wild Bird, one on LaBelle Circle, and one on Ridgepole. In January of this year, 11 building permits were issued and 2 tree permits. In February, 8 building permits and 2 tree permits. Year to date, I know this doesn't sound like a lot, but year to date, as of today, 39 permits have been issued as opposed to 30 last year, so we're running slightly ahead of schedule. And for those of you that remember, almost 400 permits were issued last year in the entire year versus 215 the year before. So I have no reason to believe that we're gonna slow down anytime soon. That's it. Any questions?
Questions or comments?
Do you know just off the top of your head how many new homes were built last year?
Well, I know in the last 2 years, 13. It's one,
Okay.
it's about one every other month.
Okay.
I was telling the mayor.
Just
but
curious.
Last year, I'll have to look at the breakout. I've got it in my office.
Any
Okay.
other comments or questions, Capital?
Yeah,
Any comment?
Yeah, Gordon.
Go
yeah,
ahead, do your
yeah,
thing,
Thank
Gordon.
you, Gordon Brian over, Forest Hills. The comment about short-term rentals, that's interesting. How did you get involved in it? Was there complaints or what preceded this? And
No, that was, you talking about the one that,
you were talking about, yeah, they're at 16.
yeah, that was the fire marshal, the fire chief gave me a call. He had a medical emergency and when he went
A
there,
medical emergency,
yeah, otherwise we wouldn't have known about
you
it.
wouldn't know about it.
Jim Granicus didn't pick that up?
Not as far as I know.
No,
Yeah.
Then they have to call it, interject on that. The complainter has to call the Granicus number. If they call the city directly or the chief, it bypasses their system.
Well,
So
but, Granicus is supposed to be sweeping the internet and should pick up on the fact that they're advertising that 6-bedroom house, and you apparently missed that.
I think it more so checks that the rental is listed. I don't know that they check the facts. And I don't know if we looked back on our application, if it was fabricated or if it matched what the tax assessor has.
But they were licensed?
They were licensed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clyde. I'd like to say that.
will Chief Thomas, since we don't have any public works.
Thank you. Everything's moving along real good with the police department so far, making a few changes here and there. We do have a new officer starting the beginning of April 2nd, I believe is gonna be his first day to start training, so he'll be training probably for a month, give or take. But I've got the totals for February here. We made 35 traffic stops, gave 12 warnings, 23 citations. We had 20 public assists. We did 2,889 house checks, resident checks to make sure the homes were secure. We did 1,354 business checks. We patrolled 4,773 miles for the month of February. And just to touch on the evergreen, that kind of goes with all of our roads up here. When you're driving down the road, the speed limit might be 25 and you're coming up on a curve, you kind of want to have the mindset of thinking somebody is coming from the other direction. Don't assume they're not, because sure enough, as soon as you do. And if you're going 25 and somebody curves on evergreen, you're gonna hit. And a lot of people that are just visiting, they might not be familiar with the road, so, and using the mirrors is real critical too. You can at least see if somebody's coming, but the roads that don't have the mirrors, just assume somebody's coming from the other direction and assume they're gonna be on your side of the road. So I always approach them with a lot of caution.
Would you just go over again your changes about contacting the police department?
Yeah,
please?
we have the 706-408-1026 number that anybody can call 24/7. That phone stays with the officer on duty. It's a non-emergency number, so there's no need in calling dispatch for non-emergencies. You know, they call us to tell us somebody wants their water turned on. You know, now they can call the officer directly on duty and have stuff like that took care of. You don't have to go through the dispatch to have.
And I've had numerous calls and emails from our citizens, and they're delighted that you changed that back.
Yeah, that was just something that I didn't agree with from the start. Having that access to us directly, it's again built a better better, community police force.
And he's all, talk about your coordination with the medical training and so forth.
Yeah, we're gonna, starting this month on the 25th, the last Tuesday of every month, our Station 9 have medical training for all their volunteers. And I talked to Kay Sherber, and that's who puts on the classes, and she's welcomed us to join in on the medical training. And the more we can know about stuff like that, the better. It goes beyond just basic life support and CPR and stuff, so. And the officers, they don't have to go, but I think most of them are gonna be there because they want that kind of training.
Not that we have medical emergencies here. It's not with our, a little older residents. That's fantastic. Molly. Thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody else? Oh, you'll have to say your name.
Gail Greenfelder, 1989. Has there been any consideration to lowering the speed limit?
Yeah, we actually were talking about that.
Because 25
If you
on
can't
many
do
of these roads is like being on a race course. There's no way. I walk my dog every day. The people that drive up Overlook, and I mean, I'm like this to the person. I mean, they are just whizzing by and they don't move over, they don't anything. They're walking on the side of the road. This is a walking community. And Evergreen, oh my goodness, how you could go 25 anyway here. It's ridiculous. We need to lower the speed limit because everybody goes over anyway. So if the speed limit is 25, they're gonna go 30 or 35.
What kind of ropes do you have to jump through to do that, Ron?
Plus through rules of the road ordinance, the one that we amended a year or so ago,
Right,
when we changed the golf cart part,
right.
that ordinance defines the speed limits for the roads, we would just have to amend that.
Okay, because there are roads, GDOT doesn't have to get involved in it. Is that correct? Okay, great. That's great to hear. Anything else?
Just two
Yes,
readings.
ma'am, if you will stand up and, or you don't even have to stand
I
up.
really don't want to, I got blood pressure issues.
Well, then don't stand
I
up.
sit right here, that's why I'm late, and I apologize
Well, you.
for being late,
That's
not
all
for not speaking, for being late.
Jan,
Along, Jan Mason, 38 Pleasant Mountain Drive.
thank you,
I
ma'am.
do know where I live. Have you considered ever those speed trays, not the
The tables.
tables,
Yeah.
yeah, because they have those where my kids live, both of them.
Yeah.
And they don't jar your car and, you know, that kind of thing, but where I live on Pleasant Mountain, you know this, you picked up a guy on a motorcycle one day who came down flying down that hill. They come flying around there, and if our dog's out there, he's dead. You know, if there's a child who's running, they're dead. There's no way for them to be able to stop. And I wondered if a table maybe.
We can definitely look into that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jan.
I have something else about the roads. Can I say that now?
$5.
I spoke to the city manager about this twice. But I'm gonna speak again because there was another car over the side of the road on Sugar Bush where it comes up from the five-way before, and they go over the edge of the road. Usually it's because it's slippery and it never sees the light of day. And I asked if we could put a guardrail. That won't keep a fast car from going through it, but it'll keep most of us who are slipping when we hit that to come back. It was a car going the other direction that backed up to see the new construction. And what those people were doing, and they slowly backed up, and they were looking, I guess, not looking at their camera, and went over the edge on the back quarter of their car. If there'd been a guardrail there, it would have, they'd hit it, they'd realized, they stopped, and they wouldn't have gone over, and they wouldn't have to get around over here.
Yeah.
So is there any way we can consider a guardrail?
Like we have down at Brook Creek or something.
Yeah, I think we can, yeah, we'll look at that, yeah.
Thank you, Jan. Anything else? All right, go ahead, Jason. Thank you, thank you, Ron.
Madam Mayor, I think that concludes all of the staff.
Did you want to do the public works report? Or have you done?
There's nothing really pressing, I mean, there's, obviously, we're continuing to, all of the critical pressure reducing valve pits have been rebuilt. Help kind of regulate some of the pressure issues we've had. But, we've got some more kits ordered, but, other than that, they're just.
How many have they done already, Jason? Was it,
Out of the 17, I think they've rebuilt about 8 of them. As those kits come in and as time allows, but we're about halfway through them. But not every one of them is critical. We prioritize them and the ones that absolutely need to be rebuilt, but some of them, they will need to be rebuilt, but we're monitoring them. But they will be as needed.
questions or comments from the council?
I just wanted to point out that in reference to what he's talking about, we've got 17 pressure reducing valves in our water system. And they haven't been rebuilt in how many years?
Some of them have
They're
been.
way beyond their useful life.
They haven't been touched since they were in.
And unfortunately, they're like $3,000 a piece just for the parts. So we're doing it as quickly as we can. And as Jason says, getting the worst ones taken care of first, so.
Well, I know that we consulted with a water expert engineer as to how we can start addressing, our aging water system because it's getting old, just like all of us, and not doing well. And his first recommendation was to reduce all our pressure reducing valves. So we are making strides. And like Dan just said, all of them have not been touched since the 70s. So anyway.
Holly, I think just one comment about that. It's the same logic applies to homeowners, because most of us have pressure reducing valves
True.
for our house, and they haven't been rebuilt in
Right.
30 years, and they don't last forever.
Right. We did put out that message, but maybe
We do, Councilor Allred, Madam Mayor, we try to put that message out about every 6 months. Again, it's probably been 6 months, so I'll just say that if you have not replaced your pressure reducing valve in the last 10 years or do not even know if you have one, we're not Atlanta, we're a unique mountain system, we have high pressures. Our tanks are 1,000 foot higher than the valley, and so gravity does what it's gonna do. And so if you do not have one, they're not too terribly expensive. Mileage may vary depending upon the plumber and where it's located, but probably couple $100, few $100. But it can certainly save you from an expensive plumbing repair if you do not have one. So we do encourage that. By ordinance, we don't require them because they're on private property, but we do certainly encourage those. So again, if you don't,
what were we told was the average life of one of these?
they're about 10 years, about 10 years. So again, if you've been in your house for a while, you may want to have it replaced. Or if you haven't been in your house that long, you think, I don't know if I have one. You may want to see if I can get one or get it changed.
Good advice.
Holly, the county where I live in Florida, in Manatee County, you get an email from the county, I just paid it. They tell you gotta have your pressure reduced. First, you have to have one, that's the county rule. Secondly, you have to have it inspected, and it's $40, and you get on speed dial with a plumber, and the county approves all these plumbers, and they come out, I just paid the bill, $40 to.
Well spent $40.
You have to have it, even though it's on private property, they come and inspect it, and that's it. 'Cause
That's good.
big.
Okay. Okay. Next agenda item is our committee reports, and I continue to say, and will continue to say, that we are so thankful to all the people in Sky Valley who volunteer their time and expertise. You all help us do our job better, and we so appreciate you. And with that, Ms. Cheryl, you want to give the landscaping report?
Yes, Cheryl Packard at 222 Red Bush Trail. And the Landscape Advisory Committee, we've had 2 scheduled meetings so far this year, and have also had some on-site visits to different areas here that we're looking at doing projects. And we also met with the Public Works Director, Jerry Slope, and the Water Systems Coordinator, Cody English. And the meeting with Jerry and Cody was extremely helpful, and the committee appreciated the time that they took out of their very busy schedules to meet with us. The committee would like to recommend that Mark Wanamaker and his crew plant sun patients at the front entrance, City Hall and Post Office. The sun patients, they have really worked the best in the last few years, and continue to keep color longer than some of the other plantings. So those will still be the areas that we will put the sun patients at. We recommend replacing small shrubs and flower beds in front of City Hall. There's a few out here that appear to be in distress, and we worked last year trying to make them revive themselves, which unfortunately, it doesn't look like they're going to do that. So we, if it's okay, we'll talk to Mark Wanamaker to see what we can replace them with. We do, of course, work a lot with the Sky Valley Garden Club, and they agree, and will continue with street corner beautification at the following locations. At the front entrance, they'll add additional pollinator plants to the lower flower bed that we have designated kind of a pollinator garden. And then they'll also again be putting new plants in the 4 planters that sit on top of the brick wall there. Sky Valley Way and Big Bear, which is near the timeshare office. They'll also continue Sky Valley Way and Ridgepole, Driver Lane and Ball Mountain Road. And we did have requested by Jerry Slope that there be some additional plantings there at Ball Mountain and Driver Lane, and talk to the garden club, and they will work on doing that. And then also Driver Lane and Eagle Drive. A request has been made to the Sky Valley Garden Club Horticulture Chairman to appropriate funds to add a water source to the Evergreen area. That's a new area that, you know, on the curve there with Rescue, and that we're trying to get established, and we really need some water there. So we've asked them if they would consider funding a water source there, so that we can start some additional plantings. The landscape committee plans on adding an evergreen shrub to screen the transfer box at the city pavilion, and to add plantings at the north and south front corners of the pavilion again this year. The landscape committee will be adding perennials and additional annuals to the Evergreen and Rescue Lane area. The landscape committee will be adding wetland plants and evergreen trees in the waterway area across from the pavilion. There's a peninsula that has developed with all the soil coming in there, and it is the city currently does mow that area, so it's stable. And so we are going to put some evergreen 3 blue spruce and 2 Fraser firs in there. They will be young, but as they grow, we hope then we can put some picnic benches out there or something and make it a nice area. The landscape committee is working with Raven County and Habersham County extension agents for recommendations on improving the appearance around the waterway area along Sky Valley Way. So we've been trying to see what's permissible, and talked also with Jerry and Cody on that. The landscape committee would like to make the following long-range recommendations. The city did a nice job clearing the waterway all along Knott Drive there, right by the burn pit. And we would like them to consider cleaning up the waterway that runs along the side of the pickleball area. That's quite overgrown and that collects trash. There's trash, I think, that falls down from when people don't do it properly in the compactor. And so I figured make the pavilion area and the pickleball area much more attractive to be able to see that waterway there. And possibly if we could get maybe a work day. I mean, Bruce isn't here today, but that'd be a great project of him if we could get some volunteers from the city to go there and clean that area up before the season maybe starts. And then also the area that is kind of right in front of the timeshare maintenance building. There's a lot of trash trees in there and stuff, that it would be nice if the city, when they have time, if they could clean some of that out and make a prettier area along the walking path there. The landscape committee will also be adding some more plants around the bridge, the pedestrian bridge. So that will be a nicer looking area. And our next scheduled meeting will be Wednesday, April 30th at 1 p.m.
Thank you, Cheryl. That's wonderful. Questions or comments besides, thank you, from the council? Nope.
Cheryl, I was gonna call you.
Got to do your name and address.
Jan Mason, yeah.
I'm sorry, it's so short.
Pleasant Mountain Drive. I still live there. I was gonna call you anyway. Do you think you could ask Mark after the Forsythia Bloom at the entrance, if he wouldn't hedge them? They're not meant, are they to be hedged? They're so beautiful when they flail. And they've been cut and they look, that's good. I mean, they look good when they're not blooming, but when they're blooming, they're not. Do you think that maybe he could, I don't know, maybe it's a hazard for viewing, you know,
I'll
seeing?
talk to Mark because, yeah, that would be the vision, you know,
Right.
driving
Yeah.
or whatever.
But I noticed when they were starting to bloom, I went, oh, like this, and I didn't realize they could cut, you know. Thank you.
Are you supposed to cut for Cynthia?
You can trim them, but you don't hedge them straight
You
up
have
or
to
down.
trim them right after they.
After they flower?
Yeah, right after they flower. And they should be a little more free forming as
Yeah.
opposed to hedge, right?
Right. Thank you.
It's beautiful when they.
I have not a green thumb, so I have not a clue about a lot of things. Thank you, Cheryl. Mr. Cardone.
Okay, very good. Well, good morning, and again, from the standpoint of the market committee, I'll give you from our last report I had. First of all, on Doug Hollingsworth of Gulf Light, Doug has arranged the following social media people to be visiting Sky Valley, and I'll just give you a little brief background on this. First is Danny and Alice Scott. They're freelance multimedia journalists, known as a couple of travelers, an American golf couple. They have traveled the world and promoting destination golf tournaments, products, online magazines, newspapers, radio spots, and other internet activities. They have a very, very impressive internet in terms of the website. And we were looking forward, they're going to be visiting us, and in terms of time, Monday morning, March the 25th, so they're coming up. This is the last time. So we're coming in, and in terms of their itinerary, Sunday afternoon, they're going to be checking in into their housing that's been provided by Bill Dice. Monday morning at 9 a.m., we're going to be meet and greet here. So if anywhere here, I'd love to have you come here and meet them. And that'll be 9 a.m. at the Sky Valley Visitor Center. At 10 a.m., we're going to have a tour of Sky Valley. And this will be led by Lisa Rosier. And this will be a time for a couple hours and tour promoting the real estate and visit all the areas and things to be doing here in Sky Valley. At 12 o'clock will be lunch at the Cabana Mexican restaurant. At 12:45, there will be a tour of the club. That would be a country club led by Ryan Du Bois. And Ryan will show them the areas. And at 1:30, they're going to have a golf round. And then at 6:30 p.m., we're going to have dinner. Since a lot of the restaurants are closed here on Monday, Sunday, Monday, we arranged to have a Cafe Rail there at 6:30. So if any of you are available, please join us. Cafe Rail, 6:30 in Franklin. It's a good idea to get to meet these people. They're very impressive people coming in, who can do a lot for Sky Valley. And they plan to check out Tuesday morning. And then the second media couple is Joey and Lisa Johnson. They're Southern Fairways magazine. Lisa Johnson's World Impact Real Estate, Alabama Gulf Coast. Joey has visited Sky Valley in prior visits, and he loves Sky Valley. During this visit, they're going to be concentrating a lot on real estate. And Doug has worked together, so the real estate market in the Gulf Shores area. So we're going to see some more collaboration working together. So we've been seeing that in terms of their visit. Again, we'll be visiting the Sky Valley Wednesday afternoon, March the 26th. And they'll be leaving Friday morning, March 28th. Their itinerary includes Wednesday, 6 p.m. dinner at the club. And then Thursday morning, 9 a.m., meet and greet here. Again, at the visitor center here. And at 10 o'clock next week, we have a meeting with the, of course, the marketing committee, and they're going to be part of that marketing committee meeting. So we'd love to have you join us. At 12 noon, lunch at the club. 12:45, Ryan Du Bois will again show them the club. And then they'll have tea time 1:30, and then dinner at the club. And the following day, Friday, Lisa is going to meet them at 9 o'clock, and they're getting to do a tour of Sky Valley and show them the areas. Any questions? So I encourage you, these are, again, the advertising, the cost we're doing this is really good for Sky Valley. So if you get a chance, please join us in terms of this, and you can do it, possibly dinner, whatever works out for you.
Gordon, the first couple you talked about, could you, clue me in on where I can find them on the internet?
Sure, you can. Yeah, if you look on the internet, look at Danny and Scott. They're freelance, just say Danny and Alice Scott. And the internet, and they're also known as a couple of travelers. So if you go on the internet, you'll see it there. And they're based out of Arizona, whole place. And they're very impressive. They've written articles all over the world. And yeah, very impressive. They're coming here. So yeah, it's short term, yes, they'll look at it. And again, the same thing for the second media call with Joey and Lisa Johnson. Again, they have a very nice website. You can look at it and look it up and see it there.
Good.
Is this, Sharon, are you showing some of the stuff from the marketing?
No, I'm ready for
Yeah.
the next.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're ready for-
Next thing we're gonna do is any questions on that, so. these
Gordon,
are
I
good.
think
It's
you all
coming early
are
this
doing
year.
a wonderful job, and we've included also timeshare has even gotten involved with the marketing.
Yes,
Y'all are doing a great
Yes.
job with that.
and part of the tour this time will be, when they do the tour of Sky Valley, we'll be going, visiting the timeshare. That'll be part of the itinerary. We've sent out an itinerary and all the marketing people have it, know will be and so forth. Yes,
Timeshare has installed new administration, which they're very, paying attention to bringing timeshare up to date and making it a viable business. So they're working with the city and have put in money to the marketing committee, so that's
Yes.
a good thing. We also, I know that we've got some magazines that have come out that have touted how wonderful the golf course in Sky Valley is, and
yes.
y'all are doing a great job. Thank you.
When we get these visits from these social media people, as you know, in the past, they write up articles that go all over, really over the United States, in this case, this being the world. So we're getting a lot of promotion from these things.
Weren't we awarded for some best hole in the state of Georgia?
Yes,
In
yes.
one of our
Yes,
golf holes
absolutely.
and so forth. Yeah, so y'all are doing a wonderful job.
Second thing we want to just briefly go over is, here's a fact sheet, maybe we can pass it out. And the committee has been working on it, and Sharon has done a wonderful job. Sharon, maybe you can show it, the fact sheet of Sky Valley. And this is now available, Sharon. We have a lot of people ask, well, all kinds of different questions about Sky Valley. And now we put something together and to just briefly look at it. And it's a handout that Sharon had. And first it says Sky Valley, a good place to live, municipal services, Sky Valley mission, first page, population, what town in Georgia has highest elevation. You can go through this and you got a handout, and then you go to the second page, maybe you can turn it over. It looks at what is the history of Sky Valley, a lot of questions about the history of Sky Valley. And I won't go all of it, when you get a chance you look at it, then geographic and climate, people ask how much snow you get and so forth. And this is really condensed, does a nice job. Real estate, how many single family homes, that's asked all the time. 5363, how many condos do we have? So this is a good short, I want to hand it out, give you an idea as you get visitors. The third page is lodging, shopping, entertainment in Sky Valley. Explore natural wonders. This came up of Jim and he wanted there's a lot of people that come here now. There's more than just golf, right? There's birding, wildflowers, wild sighting, trees, mushroom, a lot of different reasons you're visiting Sky Valley. And the fourth, the final page here is, you look at education experience. More people here are now moving here full-time. And of course, one of the things I was looking at children is education, and you can see great school systems here. And the final is worship opportunities. We have that. So it's a recap. Sharon's done a wonderful job. She's the one that put this all together. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a couple. Number one, this is such a great resource. Have you provided this to the visitor center in Clayton?
No. I can certainly do that, but
I would
That would be
say to
great.
do that.
That would be great.
Absolutely do that.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, did you guys do this yourself?
Sharon put it together.
Sharon put it,
Yeah, Sharon, give her all the credit. We looked at it, the committee had our input, what we had and so forth during our meetings, but yes,
that's fantastic. This is really good stuff. And congratulations. This is a good,
Yes.
good piece.
all the credit goes there. We just input what we wanted, approved it, but Sharon put it together. Great. Any other questions about marketing?
Fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you, Gordon.
Is it available in the front?
Very good. Thank you. For handouts here, where can we get these at? The fact
they're
sheet.
available at the golf club, at the timeshare office and here, and we've also inserted it into new homeowners packets, and when we give out goodie bags to like the golf tournaments and different things, when people are coming in, we inserted those also.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Gordon. Fantastic. Dan, would you like to do any reporting about planning and zoning commission meetings or? No, you don't really want to, but you.
Planning and zoning had a meeting in February, and they're having another one next week on the 25th at 1 PM. Basically, what we've done is we're revisiting the infamous tree cutting ordinance. And we're throwing out the baby with the wash. We're gonna start over. So there was much that was confusing and unworkable about our ordinance, and they're the last one we came up with. So we're gonna try and put together something that's comprehensive and workable and understandable. Part of it is we're going to be meeting with some arborists to come up with some language and some values of what we want to keep here as far as, tree canopy and so forth. So again, we're starting over. So it's gonna be a while. We could talk about it Tuesday or Wednesday, 25th, that day. But we won't be making any decisions that day.
What time is that meeting on Tuesday? Is that?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, okay. Thank you, Dan. Bill, would you like to talk about the mayoral advisory committee?
Sure. The committee met a couple of weeks ago, and at the request after this disaster with Helene coming through, we decided, and it was recommended by Mr. Allred here, that we get together and really look at what our plans are for natural disasters or other issues that may happen, like extended power outages, et cetera, et cetera. And what we found out, and what we kind of knew, but we got everybody together, we found out that the police department has their list of people that are in need, and they have divided up the city in quadrants, and they assign an officer on duty to take care of those in case of emergency. We also, the fire chief told us, they have their whole plan and what they do. The city has a plan and what they do. So what we wanted to do in our next steps are to consolidate those plans to make sure that we're covering everything and that everybody, right hand, left hand, knows what's going on, and really kind of make that a little more succinct. And also look for any potential gaps that we might have there. We also looked at maybe expanding from the police side, these quadrants, maybe putting a citizen or two to kind of be the help monitor that particular area So there, anybody that needs assistance in some of those situations can be communicated so that we can react. The other thing that we wanted to expand just that, we have a number of challenges. Sometimes some people have challenges that they don't have food and they can't get out, or they need medical help or prescriptions filled, and they can't get out, don't have transportation, or something's going on there. So we wanted to build that into these plans. How do we do that? Who's gonna do that? What's gonna happen? And also, if we have some people that have significant damage to their house or can't be there, where can we house them? I.e. the fire department, maybe the churches, et cetera. And where can they go to get showers and food and all that? The fire department did a great job when Helene happened. There were a number of people that didn't have water, didn't have electricity, didn't have any way to cook food. And so they were feeding hundreds of people there, allowing them to get showers, just a lot. So at the end of the day, our goal here is the next steps were to gather all this information, get back together, start to put together a comprehensive plan where everybody knows what's going on. What are we gonna do? When are we gonna do it? Who's gonna do it? How are we gonna communicate it? What actions we're gonna take? And to make sure that we, have a good awareness of all of that stuff. So that was the first part of that meeting. Our follow-up will be to start to assemble this stuff and look at any additional actions that we can build in.
And of course, get the information out to everybody
That's
also.
correct. That's part of it, right? What, when, who, communication, and actions.
And it's another indicator of what big hearts our people in this city have. Because I know a lot of you all in TV land and in the audience here helped with the food and so forth for all those poor people in North Carolina. And I was really impressed. I didn't realize that the fire department could house 40 people and they could sleep there and shower and be fed. I thought that was wonderful. Of course, we're looking for additional areas that we can help if, God forbid, that happens to us again. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bill. Okay. All right, let's move on to consider item number 9, which is to consider approval of the bid proposal of Precision Paving to pave the roads within Sky Valley to be paid for with both T-SPLOST and GDOT LMIG funds. And Jason, if you'll discuss the bid process, funding, and the roadways we're considering.
Mayor Council, we put this out early in the year, early this calendar year, January, I think. Ran it through the Georgia Procurement Registry, newspaper, through all the proper channels. Of the roads we identified 8 roads for resurfacing and 1 road for widening Evergreen. We received 4 qualifying sealed bids. We opened those up at end of February. Of those bids, 2 of them were pretty close. 2 of them were just off the charts as far as the quotes. Just real quickly, for the total, Precision Paving came in with approximately $941,000. That included striping. Caldwell came in at $904,000. It did not include striping. However, when we looked at their quote, there was an error where if you look here on, go to the right here, a little more. The $6,300 for Evergreen, that should have been $63,000. They made a mistake there. So that would have taken them over $960,000. That did not include striping. And then again, the other 2, one was about $1,026,000, and the other quote was like $1.4 million. So based on the history with Precision, they've done a lot of work for the city. They're local. They know what we expect. And the fact that they came in the lowest, the recommendation to the council that we choose Precision Paving. As the mayor kind of touched on, as we sit money wise, we have a little over $560,000 in T-Splost. And we anticipate receiving another approximately 200,000 as the T-Splost is starting to come to an end. It's been an absolute game changer for the city. We've been able to pave a lot of roads, buy some critical equipment, all at the same time, not putting that burden in the general fund. As folks have been able to benefit, enjoy seeing rollbacks on the millage rate, this has been one of the reasons why we've been able to do that. And so, as a city, if you've seen some of the stuff that we've done, we put the signs out, funded by T-Splost, we put those decals, NASCAR style, for lack of a better word, on the equipment, we definitely, put that out there. But anyway, getting back on topic,
Jason, just,
yeah.
for those people who might not know, would you explain what T-Splost
That is the transportation, local option sales tax. It's a 1 cent tax. The beauty of that is that, if whether you're a resident of Sky Valley or Raven County, or if you're any of our wonderful visitors that come up and spend the day or spend the week or month, as they're buying goods and services in the county, they're paying that 1 cent tax just like the locals are. So a lot of that money, as they're coming up and they are putting some burdens on our roads, they're sharing with the cost. So that's another great thing about that. But that is a transportation tax that was approved referendum about 3 years ago. It was a 5-year, $17 million tax. And it has overperformed in that we've been able to receive that money quicker. The city got, when the dust clears, approximately $1.9 million. We've taken about 1.7 of that. And we've got about 200,000 left to collect. So that may be up for a referendum again soon. Hopefully when that does, the residents will support that initiative, because again, it helps keep the taxes low, which is important to everybody, and it spreads it out. But I share these numbers to say that obviously we're not going to, as the cost continues to go up for road resurfacing, we had to prioritize the roads. Jerry and Cody are not here today, but we did prioritize these roads. And in a nutshell, our bottom line, the roads that we're looking to redo are.
Go back up.
Yeah, you go back up. We just got my glasses. Can you go back up to the very first quote, Sharon, for yeah. With the money that we have on hand, the recommendation is that we pay East Sugar Bush, Saddleback, Eagle Circle and Massey. Those will be about $81,000. 58,000 of that will be paid for by LMIG and Triple E money. So the remaining that will be out of T-Splost. We will widen Evergreen from 15 feet to 18 feet at a cost of $111,000. And then as funds come in, the plan is to do LaBelle Circle. I will say this, that last year, the Georgia Department of Transportation, they did a supplemental LMIG. We were able to get it surprisingly an additional, I believe, $63,000. Hopefully, it's my understanding that that is under consideration for this year. Hopefully, we will get those additional funding as well. And when the dust clears, unfortunately, we'll not be able to get all these roads done this year. But we also are leaving a little bit of money in T-Splost, about $80,000 in contingency. I think it's prudent at this time to not spend all that money, because we're constantly having to do potholes and culverts and things like that. So again, we've been very, summarize over the past 2.5 years, I guess, with the T-Splost funding, we've been very, try to be good stewards of that money. A lot of the wonderful equipment that we've done, Ridgepole, some of the other roads, and we've been able to do that with this. And Again, the recommendation is Precision Paving to do the, at minimum, to do the, Sugar Bush, Saddleback, Eagle Circle, Massey Lane, the widening of Evergreen, and then LaBelle, as the funds continue to come in.
Questions or comments from the council?
So your recommendation is to go with
Precision Paving, yesterday, they're,
the native and the ones that have been doing.
they have been, they've done a lot of the workforce. Caldwell's done workforce too. They do good work, but, again, if you actually go back to that quote, just real quick, Sharon, if you don't mind, go to the next page down. When they submitted their bid, they actually submitted a supplemental sheet. Yeah, so, a little more. This would have been the price without the striping, so obviously we're gonna have the road striped, but, if we didn't have the price, it'd be $913,000, so, again, that price of $940. Of course, since we're paving less roads, the striping would be less too, because obviously there's no stripe, but again, I think it is important to note that not only do they come in the least expensive, but that also included the road striping, where the others did not. And they can start fairly, obviously, we want to try to get as much of this done, weather permitting, before a lot of the crowds come in. It does complicate things when we have, a lot more traffic on the road. So the plan is if this were to be approved today, we'll be having a conversation with, Precision Paving, getting all the appropriate documents in place, contracts, et cetera. And they would probably hopefully get started, probably early April.
I know that you and I will be involved in an intergovernmental meeting with the county, and we'll start talking about planning for a possible T-SPLOS vote. And if you all will spread the word, that please vote yes. Obviously, we had almost $2 million that we could use for our roadways, which, you know, for many, many years, we had none of our roads repaved.
And the
Y'all pass
algorithm,
the word, yeah.
and the algorithm that
Right.
is funded a little differently with the SPLOS, which is based on population where we don't receive as much. It goes by your last few years of what you spend on road maintenance. Of course, with us receiving that funding, we've used so much of that money towards road maintenance and repair resurfacing. And hopefully, if this next T-SPLOS, hopefully our percentage will be even more, so.
Yeah, I think the algorithm is, you have to plug in the number of miles we actually have roadways and the amount that we spent. So we're projecting that we will probably get more than $1.9 million, which would be wonderful. Okay,
We still have a lot of roads left to do. We're getting
yes,
there.
we do. Any other questions from the council? Questions or concerns? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have a question.
Gordon.
Brand from, Forest
Hey,
Hills,
we got
but
it.
yeah, Forest Hills. How do you go about prioritizing? How do you decide what roads? We are on Overlook Way, it's like 20 years. We've talked about it before. How do I get on my priorities? If the road is in a condition that needs to be done, how do you prioritize? I know there's issues, some are more important.
We've looked at trying to, the old teacher in me, a rubric, but really, it's just, more of an art, I guess, than a science, Gordon. Obviously, we ride the roads. We look at the spidering, the cracking, the breaking of the edges. We look at the amount of traffic, the amount of homes on the roads. And it's a tough decision because, you know, everybody pays taxes, everybody wants their roads made. We want to get there. And again, not to beat the drum to death on the T-SPLOS, all the roads that we've been able to do, we would have either had to raise the millage rate exponentially to generate those funds to do these road maintenance, because we've been able to defer, with the exception of personnel costs that you cannot pay out of T-SPLOS, that comes out of the general fund roads. All of that maintenance has been able to be deferred to T-SPLOS that normally would have come out of the general fund for roads, AKA your property taxes. But we're looking to not only create a very formalized priority process, but we're also trying to create what we call a 15-year plan, meaning that with 30 miles of road, we're trying to get to where we're paving 2 miles a year. So that every 15 years, all the roads are turned over. But, we are aware, again, we hear from the citizens, and it's a tough decision to make sometimes, because everybody wants the roads, and we want to get to them, but, right now, the criteria typically is just, boots on the ground, assessing the roads, looking at the condition, looking at the traffic, and, that's, again, as you look at Saddleback, East Saddleback and Sugar Bush, with the amount of, travel that those roads, the amount of density, same way with Eagle Circle and Mashie, some of our more developed areas, the thought was those roads need the most critical, but, certainly, if, we get more supplemental LMIG money, and certainly as, hopefully the T-Splosh will be revisited again soon, that's gonna give us opportunity to do more roads.
Thank
If you complain, Gordon, they take your road off the list.
Yeah.
You just added 2 more years.
Thank you. All right, at this time, I'll need a motion to approve the precision paving bid for road paving, for road resurfacing and road widening services.
I will make that motion.
Second.
All right, thank you, Dan. Thank you, Bill. Discussion. All right, all in favor of this motion, signify with aye.
Aye.
All right, unanimous, the motion is approved. All right, next, item 10, consider the approval of the 2025 marketing agreement with Forward Raven. Jason, if you'll just give us a brief summary of what the heck that means for the people who do not know, and the funding parameters for this payment.
Madam Mayor, Council, those attendants, either in person or online, what the mayor is referring to is that we receive an 8% hotel motel tax on our short-term rentals. The state is fairly specific on how that money can be spent. Part of that money has to go toward a dedicated economic development entity for the city of Sky Valley, that is, of course, Forward Raven. And they get 43.75% of that money. And the way we calculate that funding is basically we take what was for the year before. So for this year's agreement, we take what we took from January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2024. So that for that 365-day, 12-month period, we took in approximately a little over $120,000, and their 43.75% is a little shy of $53,000. Of course, the rest of that money of that, doing math there, some of that money goes into the general fund for operations, and then some of that money is earmarked for brick and mortar things such as parks, building repair, pickleball, like the pickleball court that we did last year, for example. Some of that money, some of that was paid for with this hotel motel money. But anyway, this agreement is an annual agreement, updated every year, and it's that time of the year to do that. So again, everything appears to be in line, straightforward. We every time we call on Forward Raven for things, they always answer the call. I know the marketing committee works with them, Sharon works with them. She's our rep, and they do a lot to promote Raven County as well as Sky Valley. I know that, just on a side note, about a year ago, we were coming back with the kids from Universal, and we stopped at the visitor center as soon as you cross back into Georgia, and for a restroom break, and I look over there, and they got the wall of brochures, and there was a big old section just for Raven County only, and there's a lot of Forward Raven and Sky Valley stuff there, so I do know that, I do know it works.
And thank you, Sheriff, for being on board and representing Sky Valley in such a wonderful way. Any comments or questions? Comments or questions from the participants in the peanut gallery? Yes, ma'am. You know what you gotta do, Jan.
Jan Mason, I still
Still Jan Mason.
I still live on Pleasant Mountain. I ain't Pleasant Mountain, I moved. Sorry, I got boobies. Did I read that right? It's 3.5% of the 8%?
That's correct.
That's such a minuscule percentage. How's that get to be that much money?
It's
No,
set
it's,
up by the state.
No, I don't question that.
Oh,
no,
I'm
it's
just
not,
saying that is such a minuscule percentage. How does it? get
it's,
so
it's
much?
not
How much money do we
3.5% of the, it's, that winds up being about 40% of the total. It's not, they're not taking 8%, which say comes to $100,000, for example, and then only putting $3 into the,
Well, that's what that looks like.
They're getting 3.5 of the 8%, not of 100%.
Almost half of it instead of 4%.
Oh, so they're getting 3.5% of the, I was reading that differently, thank you. I was
But
reading
it was,
$3 on.
No, it's 0.4375% of what they
Okay,
receive.
well, you corrected it, fix that for me. How do we get that?
It is-
I wish we got to keep that.
It is
much more.
quite substantial.
Thank you.
thank you.
That's confusing.
Anything, anybody else? All right. At this time, I'll need a motion to approve the 2025 marketing agreement with Forward Raven.
So move.
Thank you, Bill. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Dane. Any discussion? All in favor of this motion, signify with aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Oh. All right, so let it be written, so let it be done, as they say. Okay, next is the public forum, which any person wishing to make a comment for a maximum of 5 minutes. At this time, you know what you gotta do, you gotta identify yourself. Do we have any people who wish to speak during the public forum?
You can do whatever you want, Mason.
Okay,
And I live at 38. I'm here because when we had all this storm this weekend, I asked Sharon if we had sirens, and she said no. Sirens don't always work in mountains. I understand that. I don't ever hear the sirens on the emergency vehicle. But, well, some of us don't have basements. I know most houses up here have basements, but there are 2 or 3 on our street that don't have basements. And it was in the middle of the night. And you don't necessarily hear that storm coming. And I just wondered if there was any way that we could get a warning system, maybe put some around in different areas. I mean, the actual siren things don't cost a lot. I know I've been involved in that. But, you know, that we could somehow get them connected to something so that we could have a warning system up here. I stayed up until 4 o'clock in the morning because everybody had me so scared that we were gonna have tornadoes. And I mean, I could go sit in my storage basement, but I didn't want to go down there if I didn't have to. So if you could consider that in your stuff, Bill, I would really appreciate that.
Just made the note.
Yeah.
In the meanwhile, please remember there are assorted weather apps for your phone that you can use.
I have them, and I have the TV going from station to station.
Yeah.
We have a generator, so if we lose power, I can still see those things. A lot of people can't.
It's true.
If you have internet.
Pardon?
If you have internet.
Right, if you have internet, and that's of course questionable.
Yeah, and I know the police, do you want to speak to any of that, Ron, that he's trying to set up where we have a system where we, I don't know, what you want to call them, quadrant captains or whatever we want to call it, where we can get that information out, and maybe you have a neighbor that has a basement, so you can run over there in your nightgown or whatever, you know.
Right, just
Yeah,
that we
yeah,
know,
yeah, right.
but most everybody was asleep.
Right, exactly, and we're gonna talk about siren. Yes, Ms. Fleming.
The Raven County 911 system puts out alerts too. So you can sign up for their alerts. So it's for the county.
I
Yeah,
have that.
And,
yeah.
I didn't
And
get
then we'll
anything.
go.
I know that where I have lived previously, we had the tornado sirens and they would wake the dead, so you would know that they.
Yeah, even I could hear those.
Right,
I'm,
right.
I'm wondering if there isn't a system whereby the chimes on the chapel could be converted to a warning siren or something like
Well,
that.
I can't hear that at my house, but that,
Well, I mean, it's, they'd
for
be
some,
one of,
For some, yeah.
or to have a siren put on top of the
Yeah.
church.
it's just a thought.
Surely there's a grant for
Huh?
that. So surely there's a grant for that.
Now, you heard that, didn't you, Jason?
Or
He
maybe
writes
we could
grants
call
all
it
night
an
long.
Amber Alert or something.
Yeah, the what?
I mean, we'd all get that.
Oh, the,
Amber
oh, on
Alert.
that
Oh,
phone
yeah.
thing? Oh, yes.
I don't know, when we get a call, okay, all right, not. from
Yeah,
Amber.
That could wake, on my
Anyway,
phone, it wakes the dead too, yeah.
Something to look into.
Yeah, we will look into that.
On the list.
It's on the list. All right, anybody else? Great suggestions.
Yeah, good idea.
All right, Mr. Allred, you know what time it is.
It is that time.
It is
Mayor.
that time.
You know, our agenda having been exhaustively discussed, I would move that we adjourn.
I would second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Very good.
thank you all for coming today.
Thank you.
Volume turned down to 0. I don't know why this.
Yeah.
All this